into some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Hello and welcome to All Things Horror. I am your host Ben and I'm joined here with my co-host Matt. If you're new to the show, each week we choose a movie to break down and review, we give our honest opinions and rate it from 1 to 10. We have a brief spoiler-free chat about the film before we head into the plot and discuss our favourite and least favourite parts of the movie. If you stick around until the end, we'll finish off with some interesting trivia and a fun little horror game created by myself. As it's going to be Friday the 13th, hopefully when this episode comes out, it seemed fitting to carry on our journey throughout the franchise. So next up is part 3 from 1982. And this movie carries straight on from the second one. Jason Voorhees is back, revenge on all that visits his woods. A new group of friends come over to party at an area close to the campsite. This time Jason is stronger than ever, and it's directed by Steve Miner with a main cast of Dana Kimmell, Paul Kratka and Richard Brooker as Jason Voorhees, with a runtime of 1 hour and 35 minutes. Yeah, and this came out in 3D, and I think me and you can both agree that 3D can fuck off.
Oh, yeah, especially people who wear glasses, or in my case, people who have like one working eye. It doesn't really help. I did accidentally set my Blu-ray to the 3D setting as well,
really?
so I watched the first 10 minutes and I was like, "What is going on?" And then I swapped it over. So yeah, it wasn't ideal.
No, I don't know what it is. My eyes just don't get 3D. It don't work for me. I just feel nauseous. I just feel sick watching 3D films.
Oh great.
Yeah. And when you watch it normally, like this one, it just seems so like cheesy and obvious, like the way everything just keeps coming at the camera. Like this one, it's got so many like poles, arrows, hands, eyeballs.
Yeah, just to
screen.
get the money's worth.
Yeah. What did you think? Did you think it was quite funny, the like watching it normally when it was supposed to be a 3D
I think
film?
sometimes, it messes with the pacing, doesn't it? Like, because it's like Jaws 3D. It's like, here's a bit where something's going to swim at you very slowly so you can get the full benefit of 3D. So, it's a bit like that in this as well. I don't know, if it would be a massively different film if it was not intended to be in 3D. Like Steve Miner's a pretty good director. A lot of people really like him. Like directing like Lake Placid. I know a lot of people who like that. He's done quite a lot of horror. He did House.
Oh, I love House.
He did. Oh, I think I remember you saying. He did obviously Part 2, which I actually really enjoyed. As you know, as people who listened last time, I really enjoyed Part 2 more the last time we watched it than I've ever done before. I was like, this is really good. He did Warlock. I don't know if you've ever seen Warlock.
Oh, I've heard of it, yeah.
Richard E. Grant. Basically, like, Scottish warlords, time-traveling stuff, which is a lot of fun. With Julian Sands is really good in that.
I think he did.
So, Steve Miner's done all right. Did
he do Halloween H2O as well?
Oh, of course, yeah, he did Halloween H2O.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he must have done this one back to back with the second one, right? Because it follows straight on.
Yeah, and you've got some of the a lot of the same people popping up as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I know they wanted to get Amy Steele back for this one, the final girl, Ginny from Part 2, but she turned it down.
Yeah, well, I think the story goes that her representatives turned it down, and she wasn't aware of them turning it down on her behalf. But she was going through some issues, I believe, with a stalker at the time, so everything was probably all over the place, and the representatives thought they were probably helping her out.
Oh wow! Oh, okay.
By cancelling work, so it was a bit of a confusing one because Ginny's a great character. I think one of the best, most logical and important, like pivotal characters in the whole series. So it would have been great to have more of her in this.
Yeah,
but we didn't get that. So
yeah, she's one of those final girls that kind of pop up that you remember pretty distinctly. If you think of a final girl, she's probably up there.
Oh yeah, and she's still like doing a lot of. I have a friend who made a Friday the 13th fan film called Victim No More, and he's like really good friends with Amy Steele, and they're often at conventions together and stuff. So I've never spoke to him directly about her, but they seem like they are always having a lot of fun together. So
Oh, wow, cool.
pictures I see and things like that at conventions. So yes, I think she's back now in the idea of celebrating this role and being more, because it's got such a massive following, hasn't it? Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Fans
I did
love
see
it.
the idea for if she was going to come back. I think it was like it's supposed to be set in like a psychiatric hospital where she's like obviously suffering from the trauma, and then Jason like tracks her down and kills all the patients and staff like trying to get to her. It feels that itself feels quite Halloween 2.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? And obviously it's kind of, there's always that interlinking between the two films, sometimes a bit like we said with The Burning and things like that, sometimes unintentional similarities, sometimes intentional similarities, and people are always arguing one way or the other, aren't they? I don't know. I mean, there is iconic moments in this, like obviously this first time the hockey mask.
Yeah.
So it's not like for me the fourth one is my favorite. So This is one I miss out a lot when I'm choosing ones to rewatch. Like I said last time, 2 really went up in my estimation.
I was going to ask you, out of the whole franchise, where would you place, if you was to give me your top 5, roughly in order? Would number 4 be your number 1? Your top?
Yes. Number 4 would be number 1. This is going to get confusing. Number 4 would be number 1. I think, and then I'd have to debate 2, 1, Jason X, which is one of my favorites. I'm not a massive fan. I keep trying with Jason Goes to Hell. I know a lot of people, a lot of writers as well, a lot of famous people really like Jason Goes to Hell, but I'm not. I find it quite, difficult to. I always try and give it a chance, and I watch when I'm watching them all in order, and I'm like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right for me. But the modern one would be the last, like the remake would be my least favorite.
Okay.
New Blood and Manhattan. I think New Blood's pretty good. Manhattan, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like that's really tough. I think you definitely have in the 5 somewhere part 4, part 1 and 2, and Jason X. So that will be in my 4, and then after that, I don't know.
Interesting.
What about you?
Well, I've written mine down because
that's probably a better thing to do.
I probably would have stumbled through it if you would have asked me, and then I would have scratching my head not knowing. But I am pretty much with you actually. I would put, I've got down here part 4 is my favourite. That's my number 1.
Correct.
Then part 2, then part 1.
2, 1, yeah.
And then I'd actually put this one as my 4th favourite, and then I'd go Jason X for my 5th favourite.
All right.
So we're pretty much on the same.
Yeah.
This one.
I feel like I need to give this one a maybe even another watch. I know I have just literally watched it like yesterday, but maybe I was getting agitated because I started watching it in 3D.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not a massive. I think as well for this one, I think you have to be, like some people really like the, what's he called, Shelley character.
Yeah.
Whereas I do not.
I think I don't know why this one. Personally, I really like it. I think it's a good film. Like the 3D does kind of like lower it for me, and like the way they've like pushed it to do that. But this has been like the lowest Rotten Tomatoes score. This one and which one? Jason Takes Manhattan. They're both the lowest Friday the 13th, with both sharing an 11%.
Oh right, Jason Takes Toronto.
And then the next worst is Jason Goes to Hell with 16, which I think is the worst one out of all of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have it as my worst because obviously I would. I don't know. Are you counting the? Do you think Jason Goes to Hell is worse than the remake?
Yeah, I do.
Not as many boobies.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I don't really. Maybe I need to give it another chance. I haven't really seen it that many times, but I just don't like the whole like Jason slug going into people and I don't know, like possessing them or something. I can't really remember.
Yeah, no, I that's pretty much how I feel about it. Like, I think people who like lots of confusing lore and creativity and like not necessarily creativity, but like a different take on it. Yeah. Then they're like, I think it's maybe like a cool, like edgy one to say that you like. I don't know, but like for me, it's not that much fun. It doesn't feel like a Friday the 13th movie that much. And it feels like it's filmed almost like a TV movie. It doesn't feel very cinematic.
Yeah.
Whereas like Jason X is lots of fun and silly and quite cinematic as well.
Yeah. Talking of TV, they're making this into a series, aren't they?
Oh man, it's going all up, back and forth. Different people. I can't remember what's the name of the guy. The famous director who was attached to Crystal Lake TV series, and then he's jumped out of it. And oh my word, I don't know what's going on. But let's have a look.
I never know what to believe when I read something online.
No, it's always like Friday the 13th is coming back, and then nothing happens for a year. Oh, it was I think it was Brian Fuller.
Brian Fuller.
Who?
Right.
Yeah. So he's one of those people, Brian Fuller, where you instantly think, "Oh, I know that name."
Yeah, I know that name, but I can't think.
Yeah, what did he do? And it's like, but like I think he had some. If I'm thinking of the same Brian Fuller, I think he did a lot of Star Trek stuff and Hannibal and Pushing Daisies and all that kind of stuff. American Gods.
Hannibal, yeah, I watched the Hannibal series. Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah. A lot of Star Trek related things, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean,
well, I like the Hannibal series, so as long as it's kind of on that scale, I think I'd enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's pulled out of doing it now, but this is what I mean. This is what it's always like. It's like this person's doing it, and then they're not. Okay. I think it might be in limbo again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's all I've really got for like pre-spoilers. I mean, IMDb have given it a 5.6 out of 10, which I'd say is more reasonable than Rotten Tomatoes, giving it an 11%. 2.2 mil budget with a 36.7 mil box office. Yeah. Yeah, that's it really.
There's a reason why they kept making them. People will go and watch them, won't they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's so popular and iconic. People will just see it just because it's Friday the 13th. You'll be like,
yeah, I went to see Jason X and at the cinema, and it was packed.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it did very well. I don't think that was replicated everywhere, but once people just started slugging it off, I don't think it was this is the problem sometimes. The reviews, initial reviews, a lot of people do go off them, and these days they just look at like select reviews and Rotten Tomatoes, and then just don't go and see a film. Don't even give it a chance.
No, well, it's pretty common for franchises, like especially ones on kind of this scale, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, and everything. Everyone will always say the original's the best, and everyone just gets worse as it goes through. But it's interesting on this one because me and you both enjoy the fourth one the best.
Yeah.
And we put like the original one like 3 films down.
Yeah, it's true. There's only like, I would say Hellraiser, where it roughly does go in order of goodness or badness. And then let's ignore the latest one, otherwise that confuses my theory. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a strange one because you're right. I think this one jumps around a bit. There's some of the later ones I like, some of the early ones I'm not so hot on. Yeah, I don't know. It's. I mean, I guess Sleepaway Camp's a strange one because the first one I love. It's brilliant. The second one is completely different, but I also love it and it's brilliant. The third one is completely different and brilliant, and I love it. And then there's like some sort of half-made nonsense. So, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. I think you're right. I don't think it's true that people say that, don't they? Oh, things just get worse as they go along.
Yeah.
But Freddy hasn't either. Like New Nightmare and things like that are very creative and different. So it depends who's in charge.
Actually, I really like Dream Warriors, the third one.
Yeah, Dream Warriors is my favourite. Yeah.
I don't know about Halloween though. I think I'll stick by the first one on Halloween.
Yes.
Well, I know you won't.
Halloween 3 is my favourite.
Yeah. Okay. You got anything else you want to add? Or should we jump into the spoilers?
Let's get into Shelley being an idiot and then wondering why nobody likes him and then feeling sorry for himself.
All right, I'll hit that spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
Right, so the movie starts out with the ending from part 2. Then it follows straight on from where that one left off, where Jason goes to a store for like a change of clothes, and whilst he's there, he like murders the store owners. May as well whilst you're there. It seems to be like a running theme with like horrors around this time to use the ending of the previous movie to start the next one. Like, not only Friday the 13th, I think the second one did it to the first one, but I think Halloween 2 did that with the original, and also Hellraiser 2 might have done that with the original.
I think what Halloween 2 did better than the others was that, I don't know if it starts with that much of the first one, but it picks up at the exact moment where it finished.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, which I think is much better. It's like, here we go, we're off to the races straight away. Obviously, it means that you have to have seen the first one.
Yeah. I think they might have used... Did they... I think it might have been some deleted scenes in that one, didn't it? From the original, that they never used, and I think they might have started using those ones, which is pretty clever. Yeah,
that sounds right. Yeah, I quite like the idea of, like, you just start going... from the moment the last one finished, unless something happens. It's really strange. Like, sometimes you'll see something and you're happy with how that film finished, and then they start the next film and completely undo the thing because they've not got an actor or they've not got they're going to do something completely different. Like somebody's survived and you're really happy that they survived, and then they kill them within like 10 seconds of the next movie. Yeah.
And it was quite long as well in this one as well. It was like a solid 6-7 minutes. Like that's literally the whole final ending with Ginny, wasn't it, when she runs off into his little cabin.
So you're talking, it's only an hour and 35 minutes the film, so you're talking an hour and 29 new content. There's a few bits where they're like remembering stuff as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's probably only about an hour and 20 odd of new material.
And then it goes like into the intro credits, which is like another couple of minutes as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and it takes ages this one because they're trying to show off a bit of 3D in the credits as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and what's his name? The guy that did the score. He's done pretty much all the scores in Friday the 13th.
Oh, Manfredini.
Manfredini, yeah. He's he's done something a bit different in this one. It's kind of like a disco music song.
Yeah, I thought that as well. I checked. I was like, is this still Harry Manfredini? Because it's like so weirdly different.
Yeah. Proper
yeah.
like upbeat, funky disco, like.
Yeah, and like to be honest, the characters are not as memorable in this either. I don't think.
Yeah.
No one's like, oh, my favorite character is Debbie.
No. Well, apart from Shelley, I think he's probably got some followers.
He's memorable. Yeah, I think some people like him. I don't. Maybe I'm mean on Shelley, but like, I just feel like he's like, oh, I'm such a piece of shit, and then he does something really bad, and then he's like, why do you hate me? I'm such a piece of shit. Like, he's always like gaslighting and like trying to get compliments and then feeling bad for himself, then doing something like if you pretend to be murdered in a really quite believable way, what do you want people to say? Oh, that's really creative. Well done, Shelley.
Yeah. I think, not that I've really played it that much. I've got it, but I rarely play it because I'm not really a gamer. But the Friday the 13th video game that came out, I think they all are. But like he's a character on the game that he can be. Him,
self-pity mode.
Yeah. I think him and the like the stoner guy. He's okay. He looks like Tommy Chong.
It's funny, like they literally get in the van at the beginning of the film and all they're talking about is weed, and it's like, hey, pass it up here, hey, pass it back there, hey, pass it up there. This is weed, like a 15-minute conversation about weed at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, and it's like everyone in this movie like has their purpose, like their own character is that character. Like you got like the main final girl who you know exactly who it is. You got the stoners. You got the prankster. You got like the popular guy, you know.
True. You know? Maybe I'm being a bit harsh on them not being that memorable, but yeah, no, you're right. they all serve their purpose.
Yeah.
To be murdered.
Yeah. We then meet our main girl, Chris Higgins, and her friends, and they travel up to her family cabin. Two of them, Shelley and Vera, I think it's Vera, they nip off to a shop where they get into a bit of a confrontation with some bikers. And when they leave, Shelley knocks down their motorcycles with his car.
Because he's Pee Wee Herman now.
Yeah. Then the bikers follow him back where they siphon the gas out of the van. And I think they were going to use that gas to like burn the barn down. But like Jason's inside the barn and he quickly takes care of him. And
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah. And then that night, Chris and Rick head into the woods where Chris reveals that she was attacked by a deformed man 2 years prior, and the main reason she returned was to confront her fears. So, yeah, I was trying to do a bit of like timeline math here, like 2 years prior, because this film's supposed to be set the following day after part 2. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think 1957 was when Jason drowned as a kid, and then 58 was when Mrs. Voorhees went on a killing spree, and then it jumps to like 79, which is like the first film, Friday the 13th Part 1.
So that's when I was born.
Yeah. And then 82 would have been when Chris was attacked, and 84 would have been Friday the 13th Part 2. And then this is obviously the day after. I think this is the day after, isn't it? It follows straight on.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And you meet all these new people the very next day.
Yeah.
Loads of new fodder.
Yeah, I get really confused when like timelines kind of bounce around, so I had to like write it down so I could get my head around it.
It's good maths, that. Quick maths.
Yeah. Well, it weren't really that quick. I took my time. It took a while making that. Yeah,
carry the one.
yeah. I think I mentioned to you I was watching the documentary, The Crystal Lake Memories. Have you seen
It's
that
great.
one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's brilliant. Yeah, I have that on DVD. I think, like I said to you, that like there's a similar one for Halloween. There's Never Sleep Again, the Friday the 13th one. I've got all of those, and to be honest, I may have even seen some of the films in the documentaries before I actually saw some of the films.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of interesting. I don't know why I did that, but that's bloody typical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When was that? It seemed like kind of old because they had everyone from the movies. Like,
Yeah, I think it's before HD, so it looks kind of but it's great. I think Crystal Lake Memories is one of the most fun, interesting documentaries about horror films because it's so long. It's before we got into these things, like In Search of Darkness and stuff, where there'd be like a 9-hour long Kickstarter documentary where it went into everything in loads and loads of detail. It's more, yes, this one is 6 hours long,
yeah.
but there's not like 8 volumes of it. It's pretty self-contained. So yeah, it says it was 2013, but I think it came out before that. Obviously, some of it is old.
Yeah, because some of these people have died a while ago. Actually, I think the guy that plays Jason in this, he's dead now, isn't he? Brooker, what's his name?
Yeah.
Richard Brooker.
Yeah, and the thing about these are as well, like, yes, we were now in like I said, we're in a world of like loads of Kickstarter documentaries that go to Shudder, In Search of Darkness, and the 80s action movie one, and the all of these. This is before that. This is like just a filmmaker going out and getting everybody together in some of the best behind the scenes stuff, some of the best interviews, like breaks down the fandom. I'm surprised actually it was 6 hours. It didn't feel like 6 hours, but yeah, I like that kind of stuff. There is, to be fair, the people who make a lot of them now is a couple of British guys. They did the new RoboCop one, and they made that really, like, that's brilliant. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I was like, it's like in 3 sections, so it's like 3 2-hour or 3 3-hour sections, but it's really, really good. So yeah, there's still some good ones out there, but I think the Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and this are brilliant, like, fun documentaries for fans of the.
Yeah. It's really interesting. The Nightmare on Elm Street one, Never Sleep Again. That's next on my list. I'm going to be watching that soon.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that is good.
Yeah, is that just as long? Is that like a few hours?
Yeah, it's probably about the same.
Yeah, I had to do it in like a few parts because I like the way it was like set out, like movie by movie. They didn't just like jump around with it with all the actors all in one jumbled together. So
I think that's better. I think it's better when you do.
They do the first movie, then the second, then the third, then the fourth. Yeah.
It maybe when they made these were quite influential on these other ones that we see now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. After we see Shelley scaring Vera wearing a hockey mask, he gets killed off screen. Then Jason walks out and shoots Vera in the eye with a spear gun whilst wearing the iconic hockey mask. Jason enters the house to find Andy doing a handstand, so he swiftly like chops him straight down the middle. Debbie, she's lying on a hammock when Jason thrusts his knife through her chest from underneath of her. And then Chuck goes down to the basement for Jason to hurl him into the fuse box and electrocute him. Then Chili finds a dying Shelley with his throat slashed, but she thinks it's just a prank. Then Jason impales her with a hot fire poker.
Oops.
Yeah, there's some brutal kills, like, all in that section there. Do you remember when we covered the Friday the 13th 2009 remake? I mentioned how I thought it might have been this movie when someone gets an arrow shot through their eye.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was right, yeah.
I was right.
I love that shot. Like that when you talk about like iconic moments like kills, that's probably the one that stands out to me. Like when Vera gets the arrow shot straight through her eye.
Am I right in thinking that was done specifically to utilize 3D?
Oh yeah, I think most of them were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not all bad.
Well, I think that whole scene there, like the whole Vera scene, like from the moment that scene starts, when you first see him walk out on that dock wearing because that's the first time you see him wearing the iconic hockey mask. I think it's just so exciting. I don't know. You just see him, oh, he's wearing it, and then he gets the spear gun out.
It's almost like Terminator moment.
Yeah, and it's like he's proper like he bowls it out as well. He's just like bowling down that dock. He's like, "You're going to die now." Yeah. Is there any kills from this movie that kind of like stand out to you?
I think the same ones, to be honest. Those are the most memorable, the ones that you said, particularly the arrow.
Mm-hmm.
That's it really for me. I think the same ones. I think it hits the right sort of points, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It has a certain amount of kills, and most of them are pretty creative. This is Tom Savini as well, isn't it? So.
Oh, is it? I didn't think it. Oh, is it?
Oh, is it not? Am I just assuming?
No,
to be honest, I didn't check. Oh no, it's not.
No, I think he comes back in the fourth one.
Ah, yeah. So it's not Tom Savini, but still, that shows you that they did a pretty good job without him. Then, if I thought it was.
Well, that's quite interesting actually, because I made a little note here, like Debbie's death when she's on the hammock and Jason stabs her from underneath. That's very much how Kevin Bacon's character dies in part one. Obviously, Tom Savini did the special effects for part one. What I like about her death is she's reading Fangoria. I don't know if you noticed, she's reading the Fangoria magazine.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
And the page that she's turning is all about Tom Savini.
Oh.
If you look at it, it's really quickly, like as she's turning the page, you see like Tom Savini. It's like a big article about him. And I think he's just like he is, to be honest, one of the best practical effects artists. And he did the effects for part one, so I just think it's quite fitting that they used the same kill while she's reading about Tom Savini.
Yeah, it's like a little reference, little almost thank you, or it could just be like a screw you. We can do it without. Yeah. It could be like we can do it without you.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? I have a feeling there's a lot of weird stuff between all the different people who take credit for Friday the 13th, because it's like ownership and also credit are two different things.
Yeah.
So like I think there's a bit of that. I think that's the reason why it's always back and forth.
Yeah.
For new things getting made, because it's so difficult to kind of get everybody on board with it.
Everyone likes to say, "Oh, I came up with that. I came up with that."
When
like I'm
the brains behind this, or
yeah. So I think that was mentioned on a documentary as well. Like a lot of people were saying, "Who came up with the hockey mask idea?" He's like, "Oh, he had a hockey mask. Oh, I came up with the idea," and blah, blah. Yeah. Actually, I think I got a bit of trivia about that. Anyway, that'll be for later. But yeah, I think Tom Savini comes back in the next one because he wanted to kill off Jason once and for all. Like, he never wanted to come back to Friday the 13th because he thought it was a bit silly. Is that right? So he came back for the final chapter because he thought he was actually going to finally kill him off.
Yeah, I think that ties in, because obviously they called it the final chapter. Only in Friday the 13th, where it's such a messed up continuity, would you call the fourth in a like films where they've made like 11 of them, call it the final chapter? Number 4 is the final one.
Yeah, and the one after that is A New Beginning.
Yeah. Like, sorry about that. It wasn't a final chapter. This is the final chapter plus 1.
So next, when Chris and Rick go back to the house, Jason grabs Rick and he crushes his head with his bare hands and makes his eye pop out. Mm-hmm. Again, another 3D effect there, straight to the camera. Pop.
Ellen.
Yeah. Chris gets away in the van, but it breaks down shortly after because the bikers obviously drained out the gas. She runs in the barn before Jason arrives, and she knocks him out with a shovel and wraps a rope around his neck to hang him. But he briefly removes his mask to free himself, which causes Chris to recognize him as the same man who attacked her 2 years ago. I'm not sure why it took that to realize who he was.
Maybe they'd seen the first film or the second film.
like how many like huge serial killers are there wandering around those exact woods? And it's like, oh, you're the same guy.
It's you.
It's you. I didn't see you until you just lifted that little mask up. One of the bikers who survived jumps out and tries to attack Jason, but Jason finishes him off. And whilst he's distracted, Chris strikes him in the head with an axe, finally stopping him, assumingly like killing him. Chris pushes a canoe out into the lake and falls asleep. The next day, she has a vision of Jason running towards her, whilst the decomposing body of Pamela Voorhees jumps from the lake to pull her in. Then the following morning, the police arrive to take her away, and Jason's body is still shown lying in the barn, dead.
Now, we need to make this because we're patriotic. No, we're not. But patriotic that Mr. Brooker, Richard Brooker, is British.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh.
So he's the only real link I can think of to link Friday the 13th to old Blighty.
And he's quite a unit in this film as well. Like he's a big boy.
He's had his fish and chips and scones and crumpets.
All right. Do you know roughly whereabouts he was from?
No. I know nothing about him other than he's British.
I don't know anything about him, to be honest.
Also, the other little, and this is, I know we're not doing trivia, but like we just talked about the disco song. Yeah. I looked up that they're credited to a band called Hot Ice, which is Harry Manfredini and his friend. Oh. And he just decided that he was going to do like disco music for this one, and he says it was like very popular in gay clubs, but I don't know. Sounds a bit unlikely, but yeah, it's a bit weird, the music in it compared to the other films. Yeah,
I guess. Well, this is kind of a weird film being made in 3D. 3D is supposed to be fun and exciting, so I guess
it got people into the cinema though, didn't it? Because it didn't it like knock E.T. off the top or something?
Yeah. What did you?
Crazy.
What did you think about this whole like ending when she like pushes the canoe out in the lake? Because it's literally like, well, I know the first one obviously did it. Did it? No, the second one didn't do it. But yeah, it's literally like copying the first one. I think. Like I rolled my eyes a little bit when she gets in the canoe, rolls it out, and you just kind of like wait for something to happen, which it does. It's not Jason, it's Pamela, but still. Yeah, like, she pushes it out. Oh, okay, here we go.
And the end is a bit like, and here's Jason, but like, he's in the barn.
Yeah.
End of story.
It just
there's no like sitting up like the Undertaker or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seemed a bit unnecessary. I mean, would they have had in their mind that they were going to do a sequel straight away, do you reckon?
I'd imagine as soon as they found out how much money it was making, yes. Like as soon as they were like, oh, people still like it, the second one, let's get straight on to number 3.
Yeah, because I'm surprised that they actually like left it where it looked like he was dead. Like they came back the next day and he's still there, still dead on the floor.
I mean, yeah, well, this is the thing as well. I mean, it's a Paramount film, so it's not like an indie film. It's like a big studio, and it's they're really cheap to make. So and you're gonna make tons of profit. Yeah. So I think that they might not have had a plan of where they're gonna go with the stories, which I'm pretty sure they didn't, because no one's like, okay, so the fourth one, we're going to call it the final chapter, and we're going to do this. Okay, and then by the line number 10. So can you imagine them sitting down after the end of 2 and going, okay, so the 10th one, we're going to go into space. Or before that, there's going to be one where it goes to hell, and I think maybe we'll bring in Freddy Krueger. They're like, oh, the Freddy Krueger that they've not made that film yet. Yeah, that one. So yeah, there's no planning, is there? There's no forward planning for the whole
No.
whole thing.
Okay, all right. Let's jump to our ratings. So, do you want to go first?
Yeah, okay. So, I don't love the film, but I love the franchise. So, I'm gonna give it. I can't bring myself to do more than this. This is the maximum I can give it, just because I love Friday the 13th. So I'm going to give it 6.75.
6.75. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's honestly more than I thought you were going to do.
Do you know what? 6.5. No, 6. 6.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, because I was looking at what I gave it on Letterboxd, and I've every time I've watched it, I've given it 2.5 stars out of 5. So that would equal what, 5, wouldn't it? So I think 6 is more than fair.
6. Okay. I'm gonna have a look at the ratings for the other ones actually whilst we're here. Friday the 13th, you gave the first one an 8. And part 2 you gave a 7. So yeah, and you give part 3 a 6.
Oh, well,
8, 7, 6.
It's what we said is not the case.
Yeah.
Well, it all changes later on.
And then we'll do part 4 next, and you'll be 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It'll be. Yeah, I'd imagine it'll be up there.
So
maybe not a 10, but
what's your reasons for a 6?
The 3D I think slows it down.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been a better cinema going experience for some people, so it was successful in that way. Even though they are very like Tom Savini-esque effects and kills and stuff, and some of them are quite good. When I reflect on it after talking through it now with you, I think the reason it doesn't hit home is because maybe they're not as, other than the Arrow one, as creative as maybe some of the Tom Savini ones, where he wouldn't necessarily repeat something like you were saying. I don't think the characters, it made me think, oh, it's a shame Ginny's not in this more. So like I felt like they weren't as strong. I'm not a massive fan of Shelley, but he's the character I think most people remember, so that's probably the reason why it didn't hit home with me. Like characters like Rick and Chuck and Chris and Debbie and who have I missed?
Vera, is that one?
Vera,
Yeah.
like Vera's okay, but yeah, they just don't really do it for me very much.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of. I like Betsy Palmer. It would have been nice to have more of her in the film. So I don't know. Yeah, it's not my favorite, but it's not terrible.
Okay, all right. Yeah, well, I've got down, and I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to give it a 6.5. I like the movie. I think it's one of the better ones in the franchise. It's not my favourite, but it is up there.
Yeah.
I think Richard Brooker did a great job of playing Jason. Like, he's really like stronger and more powerful, which is kind of what he's known for now. I feel like this is a movie where Jason actually becomes the Jason that we all know and love. Like, everyone's waiting for that moment where he puts on the mask, and then it's go time,
Yeah, body language too, like of that they kind of. I feel like Kane Hodder's got a lot of influence from this one. Now you come to say it.
Mm-hmm. There were moments throughout where I thought it was dragging a little bit. Like, I feel some of the scenes could have been cut down, make it a bit tighter. Like Chris's like flashback, I don't feel like they really needed to include any of that, to be honest. Like, I don't know, I just thought it was a bit reaching for something that they really didn't really need to reach for, just to try and make a bigger story out of it. I don't know. I didn't really get into that bit of it. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, obviously, I started off at 6.75 and went down to 6. Did I give it 6? Or did I give it 6.5? Yeah.
Yeah, 6.
But yeah, I don't normally do half marks and quarter marks. I confuse myself really, but yeah, I can't argue with yours.
Well, it would have been a 7, but minus half a point for being in 3D. Okay, all right. So with that, let's jump into some trivia.
Trivia.
Oh yeah. The house, the barn, and even the lake were all purpose-built sets. The man-made lake wasn't properly sealed, and subsequently the water started draining into the soil during the first week of filming. This is the bit I was talking about earlier.
So it wasn't very deep.
No. Wait, was this the one? Yeah. The film's 3D effects supervisor, Martin J. Sadoff, he is responsible for coming up with the Jason's trademark hockey mask, allegedly. Sadoff always kept a bag with him full of hockey gear on set because he was an avid hockey fan. Whilst testing potential masks to use for Jason, he pulled out a Detroit Red Wings goalie mask for the test. And Steve Miner loved the look, and after making some modifications to the mask, he decided to use it in the film. Yeah, so apparently you can thank Martin J. Sadoff for his iconic hockey mask.
Yeah, and until somebody else takes credit for it.
Yeah, and then like 12 other people say, oh, well, actually, I had the hockey mask.
Yeah, it's like how many people who say that they were Michael Myers. Like, I was in like for 10 seconds, like this guy was in the bathroom, so I was Michael Myers.
Yeah. Richard Brooker, who plays Jason Voorhees, was a former trapeze artist. He was chosen to play Jason simply because Steve Miner needed a big man for the role, being 6'3", but not that bulky and slim. The toned Brooker wore foam padding under his clothes and did all of his own stunts. Oh, right, so he actually padded himself up a bit. Huh. Yeah, that's something.
So yeah, like you said, he was a bit of a unit.
yeah. That's something I found with Friday franchise. Like near enough every movie, you got like a different guy playing Jason up until Kane Hodder, and they just seem to get bigger and bigger every time.
Yeah, Kane Hodder's massive, isn't he? So...
Yeah, it's like every movie, like he just bulks up. He gets taller and musclier.
And I think that's how a lot of characters in films went in the 80s as well. If you think like it was the era of like Arnie and Sly and like people like that, they were all like Arnie was getting bigger and musclier, and even like Sly went bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
they were going full steroids. WWE, you had the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. Everyone was just throwing steroids into them. So like the bad guys had to get bigger as well. There's only Freddy, obviously, because it's Robert Englund.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if every film Freddy just got more muscles? It looks so weird.
Yeah, and I think I might have this wrong, but near enough all of like the Jasons and Michaels, they seem to be stuntmen as well. Stuntmen. Like a lot of them do their own stunts just because they probably started out as stuntmen and then they went into acting.
Yeah, and it's such a physical, like Michael Myers and Jason, and they're such a physically intensive, more so than Freddy, I guess, because Freddy just does a lot of like waving his fingers around, and these guys are like falling through windows.
Yeah.
To have a stunt person to replace you. You got to have loads of people all dressed up as Jason, with the same damage to the body, that would be such a hassle. So it makes more sense to get a stuntman who can do both. Yeah, it's not like he has to say anything either, does he?
No.
It's like cocking your head and stuff. Like, is quite an iconic thing as well. Like that confused. Like,
do you reckon Richard Brooker? Is it Richard Brooker? Yeah, Richard Brooker. Do you reckon Richard Brooker had a little bit of David Prowse? You know, David Prowse got a bit annoyed when like the final revealing of Darth Vader, and you see his face, and they chose to do someone else. Do you reckon that was a little bit with this? Because you finally see Jason's face, but it's just another mask underneath the mask.
Yeah.
Completely messed up.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it'll all depend on what they were promised.
Yeah.
Like, or what they thought they were going to see. So maybe, like, I wonder if sometimes they're sat in the cinema and it's the first time they see things and they go, oh, shit, like,
Yeah.
I didn't even get to see myself.
Oh, God.
It'd be worse if you were cut out altogether. I mean, I wonder how many
Yeah.
actors do that, and they invite the whole family to see something and they've been cut out completely.
Yeah, that's awkward. All right, cool. That's all the trivia I've got, so let's jump into this week's game.
I want to play a game.
All right, nice and simple. This is just a straight up franchise of Friday the 13th quiz. I'm just going to name some questions throughout the whole franchise, and yeah. So, which Friday the 13th movie has the highest kill count?
Which Friday the 13th movie has the highest kill count? Okay. So, X? Jason X?
It was the one before. It was Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, apparently there's 25 kills in that one.
Fair enough.
How many different actors have played Jason Voorhees?
Oh, jeez. I'm going to go... Kane Hodder's done it a lot. Are we counting Ari Lehman as, like,
I
he was a
have,
kid?
yeah, I have counted him, yeah.
5 or 4? 5.
No, there's actually been 9 actors.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell. I was miles off.
Including remakes and spin-offs, how many movies is Jason Voorhees in?
Movies and TV series?
Not TVs. So like the franchise, spin-off,
okay.
and remakes.
So not the game, no.
No.
Okay, so 11.
Ooh. No, there's 10 sequels from the franchise. There's Freddy vs. Jason.
Oh, shit, I forgot.
And a remake.
Oh,
Yeah, can't forget that one.
I forgot Freddy versus Jason. I didn't count it. Okay.
What is the name of the final girl in the first Friday the 13th movie?
In the first one?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I can remember Ginny. I can only think of one. I can literally only think of Ginny. I'm gonna say.
No cheating.
I'm not cheating. Tap 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 tap. Amy.
Oh, you're close. It was Alice.
Oh, of course. It's
Alice Hardy, and that was played by Adrian King.
Yes, Alice. Who the? Yeah.
Yeah. I've got to give you a boo. Sorry.
Oh. Well, God forbid you forget to do.
Yeah, I can't forget that. Who is the guy that's local to Camp Crystal Lake that warns people of the danger?
Well, it's not Crazy Ralph. That's. Oh yeah, Crazy Ralph.
Yeah, Crazy Ralph.
I second guessed myself because there's a guy in this, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Some weird guy laying in the road with an eyeball.
Yeah. Eyeball dude.
Yeah, eyeball dude. Okay, last one. So how many movies into the franchise is Jason Takes Manhattan? What part is that?
7? No, 6. 6.
No, it's part 8.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm rubbish. I am rubbish at remembering stuff.
So 4 is Final Chapter, 5 is A New Beginning, 6 I can't read that from here. I'm trying to read my DVDs, but I can't see it from here.
That's what I should have done. I should have had my box set in front of me, but even then I'd have forgotten, wouldn't I? So.
I was going to Google it, but I can't be asked. Yeah, so that's it.
Oh, man, I'm not an expert when it comes to... This is the thing, though. You know how... The more I do with things, and I don't know if it's just an age thing, don't have an encyclopedic memory for, like... I used to do, but I don't anymore, for, like, actors, film names, years, what they used to be in. Now I just have an opinion on the quality of it. I've totally, like, the statistics of things, that side of my brain is just gone.
Yeah. Names I'm absolutely useless at. I cannot remember names. Characters and actors.
I don't know anything, but I know what I like.
Yeah. Cool. That's the whole episode. So to wrap up, next episode, sticking with the sequel September, will be A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, which I have also not seen in a very, very long time.
I have seen it recently, and much like Friday the 13th Part 2, I completely reappraised it.
Oh, really?
There is a documentary that I saw as well about the lead actor in it, which I'm trying to remember what it was called. He's called...
yeah.
The actor's called Mark, isn't he? I think I maybe even mentioned it on the podcast. I think
I've seen something about that. I think it might be on Shudder as well.
Yeah. I think, I'm pretty sure I was like, I've just seen this. It's really good. The actor is Mark Patton.
Yeah.
And the documentary is called, and this would be a good one for people to watch along with when we do the podcast as well. So it's called Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right. Okay.
It's very, very good.
Yeah. Was there some controversy or something to do with?
Not so much as people possibly made fun of it and said it was really bad because they were saying it was very like gay coded and a lot of people didn't like. But now people have come to kind of embrace that side of it.
It's been a very, very long time since I've seen it, but I do remember some parts. Was there a scene in a gay bar or? Yeah.
Yeah. This.
But he's not.
It is a very gay film. Definitely.
But he's not actually. I know he's actually gay, but he's not supposed to be gay in the film, or is he? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think there's disputes between the way it was written, directed, and acted, and I think everybody has their own take on it in those three people. So that's why I think it becomes a bit of a like contentious thing. Is that Mark Patton has ownership of it? Roman Clemente has. Not Roman Clemente. What am I talking about? Sorry. Who was the director? We'll have to go into this in detail, obviously, in the show. But it's because we're gonna end up go. Yeah. So I think what it is. I think Jack Shoulder, the director, has a very different opinion of what it is, and I think the writer. David Chaskin, again, has a different idea of what it is, and so does Mark Patton. And I think that they kind of all fell out over that. And I think it's only in recent years they've kind of come to some sort of... I think as people are more interested in it and it's more, like, beloved, then maybe all of a sudden people will start going, actually, I did do that, or whatever it is you like, I did that.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I'm sure we'll have a long talk about it next week.
yeah. There's a lot to dig into. I think if you try and watch if we are trying to watch the documentary, meet back here on All Things Horror.
Yeah,
that'd be even more interesting.
All right, brilliant. So if you haven't got anything else to add, I'll see us out.
Oh, that's fine, man. Good fun. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, cool. If you've liked today's episode and want to hear more, then go ahead and give us a follow on wherever you're listening from. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube, where you can vote on the monthly poll picks That's all for today. Thanks a lot for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Killer, Mommy. Killer.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick.